Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the final part of What If Issei Had God Key. Now, I don't want to waste time talking. I just want to get right into this What If. So without further ado, roll the intro. Tony will look at Issei strangely as he would just say like, wait, you mean Sergeant, you mean the Dragon King Vitra, holder of that sacred gear. Issei would nod his head, saying like, yes, him, I want you to train him if you don't mind. Tony said he doesn't mind training Sergeant, but for what reason did you take interest in Sergeant? Issei was saying that pretty much he wants to actually help these people become strong, for let them actually stand on their own 2 feet. He doesn't want to actually come there and actually help them out when they're actually in a dire situation, of course. Just because Issei is a dragon god doesn't mean he's gonna help everybody out. They need to learn even how to actually fight on their own, how actually cruel this world really is, that they need power, that they need to know that this is not all just fun and games, they're in a war. So with this, Tiny would nod his head and he would actually fly against Sergeant. Now once they got Sergeant and they began the training, to his surprise he saw Issei there. Sergeant told Issei that Issei told Sergeant that he was actually going to be training with Tani, and since he's a dragon, he will give him tips on how to pretty much use his sacred gear properly. Oh, and before he even leave, Issei will give Sergeant a gift. He will give him the rest of his sacred gear, of course, since they were split up. Issei kept Vitra's different parts of sacred gears just in case. So he will give it to Sergeant, and he will already have 3 parts. It was only 2 left that he actually needed, which Azazel had. So once Azazel gives it to him, he will have his full set of sacred gear. Sergeant would thank Issei, but Issei would say to Sergeant just to get stronger and to don't be a simp, that he's a dragon, that he should start acting like one. So with this, Issei will just leave, as he will go back to his house, where he'll go down to his kind of dimensional prison, where he will actually have Catherine sealed up. Now Catherine would actually look to Issei and she would actually glare at him. But Issei would tell Catherine that she needs to change her ways. Mainly someone with her kind of talent and power would be wasted, of course. So Catherine would actually tell Issei that she's actually not into him or anything like that. That he should actually just go ahead and kill her. But Issei said he's not gonna kill her. He needs Catherine to teach Verlaine about pretty much of how to be a devil. Not to really how to be a devil, but truth about the devils, of course. About Rizovine, of course. Everything. She knows Catherine has all that information. So Catherine would say that she's not gonna say anything. But Issei says okay, fine, I guess I can just erase you from existence and not living, of course. But Catherine would plead and saying that yes, she would actually teach Verlaine, of course. So Issei will let her go, and he actually threatened her that if she does anything to backstab him, because it's unwise to backstab a dragon, that he will erase her from existence. And trust me, Catherine saw it, and she was afraid of it. Afraid of Issei. So she would promise that she would never betray Issei again. So Issei would say good, and with this he will actually teleport or into transmission all the way to Verlaine and actually Tiamat. Once he got there, he'll see Verlaine with actually her team or Team Volley there, Kuroka, BQ, Arthur and Leafei, of course, and he asks who was he. Of course, Tiamat would actually say that it was actually a friend of theirs. Issei would say that to Verlaine that Catherine here would like to pretty much tell you everything that you need to know about Rizovine, everything you need to know to defeat him, of course, and to not kill her. She can be pretty much used to them. So With this, issei will leave, and Tiamat would like to speak to issei, of course. So issei will be pulled to the side, and Tiamat will ask how powerful issei became. He knows he didn't actually become powerful just like that. So issei had to a little bit lie a bit here. He would say that to Tiamat that the Red Dragon Emperor taught him. This will surprise Tiamat and asks where is he. He wanted to have revenge for Dreg and actually Dreg's partners because of Dreg breaking her treasures, of course. She wants to get Dreg back, but issei says that he doesn't know. But he does know that he's actually quite powerful to be on the level or even higher than even just actually Dreg, the Red Dragon Emperor. So, we time skip to the end of actually the 3 months of training for them, of course, which this 3 months of training, issei did train while laying a little, of course, as she did got a little bit powerful. It was actually the time where they actually needed to go to actually the peace treaty with actually Asgard. Once there, issei will be there, of course. He'll be actually kind of interested in to see how this peace treaty goes. Like I said, issei is not aligned with anyone, but he does want to teach them that they need to stand on their own 2 feet. So he wanted to make sure that everything was actually going up to top notch, of course. So he would see Akano and actually Reyes, and he would greet them, of course. Of course, the rest of the Parage were afraid of issei, but issei said that he was not going to actually touch them, of course. He has no interest for them, but he does have interest for Akano. But he'll brush that aside, and he will actually find actually Zazel. There, all actually the faction people we there talking to actually Odin. So once Odin actually locks eyes to issei, he immediately actually just smirks. Wow, I never actually knew actually a god would be here besides me. This would surprise everybody there, including the faction leaders. And they ask, what do you mean by that, Odin? But issei slowly started to clap his hands. Impressive, Odin. You are actually the first one who knows actually who I truly am. Let me introduce myself. My name is Issei Hiro. I am the Red Dragon Emperor. Or should I say the Red Dragon Emperor God, of course. This will shock everybody, and to know like, wait, he's the Red Dragon Emperor, and wait, did he just say God? He was a dragon god? Odin would say like, yes, of course. That would make sense, that you are a god. But Seraphon would say like, how could that be possible? He's not a god. If he was a god, we would have sensed it. But Odin would say that since actually issei has a special divine powers, seeing mortals cannot sense it, only deities can. And he was surprised to see how powerful a god he really is. So issei would say like, yes, that he would actually be actually glad that Odin quite actually knew who he really is, or kind of knows now who he really is. All the faction people's minds were running actually crazy. Plus the Zex was actually completely crazy that knowing issei was the Red Dragon Emperor and knowing that he's a dragon god, he was sweating that he just made actually enemies with it, and pretty much he might actually hate the devils now after what he actually did. So he was actually trying to find a way to actually kind of apologize to issei for his behavior and to probably actually, like become friends or even allies. The same thing was going on with the rest of the people there. Azazel was more shocked, but like he wasn't really that shocked, of course. He knows issei is actually a good kid. So the meeting would actually go along, and Loki would actually end up actually attacking. Now Kuroko would not actually end up taking actually Konako, because actually issei did tell actually Akano to actually make Konako accept who she truly is. And also he accept Akano who she truly is, so she was actually able to accept herself. And Konako, by chance, she was able to use actually her Neko side. So yeah, Loki would actually attack, and like once actually Loki's attack would commence, once he locks eyes with issei, who asks why is actually another god here. But issei would immediately bound Loki using barely any effort, sealing him away, of course, in actually a sword that pretty much, let's just call it the Z sword, what actually Beerus actually did to actually the Supreme Kai. That's what issei did to Loki. So Loki was sealed away in a sword, the Z sword issei will call it, and he would give it to Odin to say that his problem has actually been done. This would surprise Odin, knowing that how Issei saved Loki with ease without even trying, and Issei would tell them that this was actually the last time that he was going to help them, or pretty much this was actually the last time that he was going to intervene, that he might intervene when actually things get deadly serious, but don't actually expect him to come, them to come to him for actually help. That he was mainly not truly interested in actually joining or even making any allies. So he would look towards Zex and he would say like he doesn't need to apologize, that he doesn't really hold a grudge. Because he says a dragon god, so why would he hold a grudge against something so stupid that they didn't even know that he was a dragon god? But still, that actually quite eased Zex a bit, but surprised them that he was not going to help them. But Azazel did actually know that Issei just wanted to live his normal life. So from that day forward, Issei didn't help them for the time being. This would also reach news to actually Tiamat and also Valane that Issei was the Red Dragon Emperor, and he was actually also a dragon god. Now, they wasted no time to go to him, and Tiamat started to fight Issei, but as quickly as it started, Issei knocked her out, including Valane, and telling them that they need actually some years to actually train, of course, to be even close to his level. And he did apologize to Tiamat for what actually Drake did, that he will actually find a way to repay her back. Trust me, he's actually in Tiamat's debt. So, for the past actually couple of actually, kind of like 6 months, of course will fly by. Issei would actually not get involved in actually Theodora arc, and not really Ark or Arcia would not actually be actually, how should I say, kidnapped, of course, since they were actually quite strong up here, including Tiamat in this. They will be able to actually kill Theodora and actually Shelba, of course. And if actually Shelba did send Arcia to the Dimensional Gap, Issei would know right away, bring Arcia back, and like he would actually erase Shelba for good. So he will also actually really not get himself involved in most things, but when it came to the Kyoto arc, of course, saving of Yasuka, that would go a little bit different. Now, the hero faction wanted to face off against actually Great Red, of course, Scarlet, but Issei would actually not allow that. So he would actually just, how should I say, he will actually remove their sacred gifts, making them pretty much human. Like since they were already human, but making them more powerless. But he would just actually say that he's not really in the mood for them to actually even try to attack his actually mate. That was unwise of them. But time will actually soon pass, and like the whole actually fight between actually Reyes and actually Cyberorg will actually commence. But in this, Reyes will actually kind of lose here, since Issei is actually not in her barrage. She will definitely lose. But this would actually awaken Reyes to get even more stronger, of course. That fight with Cyberorg, she actually wants to get more strong, and for her to use her powers like Issei does, like destruction. But Issei told her that it would take her a while to become, or even close to his level. But soon, time would pass. Issei would not get involved in most things, but when it came to actually the evil dragon, that's where actually things really started to take a heavy toll. After when actually the evil dragon was defeated and was actually Valane killed her grandfather, and also Rise of Fiend's energy was transferred to Trexia to unseal it. That's when things took a turn from the worst. That's when Trexia started to invade the whole faction world and pretty much the whole underworld, and they were having trouble. Now, Issei, Scarlet, and Orphis will be in the Dimensional Gap, and they'll be watching all this take it and going down. Issei didn't want to help them, at least not yet. He knows how powerful Trexia is, but pretty much Trexia is not even on the tree of them level. They are universal. They can destroy a whole universe. So Orphis will ask should they actually go and intervene, but Issei will say not yet. He wants to see how much they improved, of course, during this time that he actually left. He knows that he's been training Valane actually a little bit, and she does have access to a little bit of God Ki, but not to a higher degree. So she would be actually she would become really powerful and more useful in this battle, of course. But she would not be even on the level of even Trexia. Trexia would actually demolish most of them, and they were already on the breaking point. So issei decided that now was the time to actually help them actually out. So Scarlet, Orphis, and issei would teleport to actually the underworld. As once they got there, issei would actually easily take out the actually evil dragons that were invading the whole underworld. With Scarlet, it was different. She was actually going to different factions and also causing actually, not really causing, but actually limiting the destruction that was going on. Like, say for example, Heaven. She went to Heaven and she actually killed the evil dragons that were actually there, including not really killing Trexia part, because actually it went to actually absorb itself back into its original self. And this I think what happened in the rest of the faction. When issei eliminate all the evil dragon in the underworld, he went to a different faction to do the same, to kill the rest of the evil dragon, and got to the point where Trexia merged into one to become itself whole. His actually full power state. Now, Trexia would actually notice issei and he would sense issei's power. And it would say to issei that he would actually become part of actually it. Because remember, Trexia doesn't really have a gender in this, and I'm kind of keeping it like that. I know Orphis doesn't really have a gender, but still, like heck, she was actually shown to be actually a female, but I'm gonna stick of Orphis that she is a female in this, so yeah. So, issei would actually think that this was a time for him to actually use his actually godly power. So issei would power up and he would actually transform himself into his super dragon god state. Now once issei transformed, it would immediately shake the whole universe. The whole universe felt issei's power and how much he really had. This would surprise the people there that issei was truly on a whole nother level. He was a more powerful being than they have ever seen. So with this, issei would actually charge up his actually most powerful move. It was actually his soul actually Punisher, what Gogeta move will actually have, of course. With this, Scarlet, Orphis, and also surprisingly Drake, who now have access to his body, would actually prepare to erase Trexia for good from this actually world. So they will actually launch the attack respectfully at the same time, and once they actually hit Trexia was erased completely, not coming back or not even regenerating at all, of course. That Trexia was now eliminated and the world was now saved. Everybody would cheer, knowing that after Trexia was defeated, they would celebrate. But issei would tell them to not actually to celebrate. That this should be a reminder that they need to work hard for actually this problem to not actually happen. And guys, if you hear actually banging, of course, my hand might have to be reduced, so my apologies. So they will actually take this to heart, and they will actually would vow that they would never happen again. They will vow to become stronger, of course. Now, issei would actually continue on live his normal life, eventually becoming part of actually his third year, of course, and he was already nearly about to graduate. Now, if you guys are wondering what's actually really happened after that, with issei's harem, of course, well, a few things, of course. Issei did, of course, he still with actually Scarlet and Orphis, and they did actually go with a maiden actually program. So there's your actually answer. And issei did actually have a harem, not really of a big harem, but a small harem. It was actually also with actually Akano, Tiamat, Verlaine, and also Catherine, of course. Now, issei, how should he say this? He did was actually form a relationship with actually some of the others, but it was not really that big. It was mainly over kind of a friendship relationship. But some of the girls, they did have feelings for issei, but they don't mind waiting. Even if it takes a century or actually 1,000 years, they will wait. But Issei was actually now enjoying his life with actually his small harem and his normal life. Now, I know this is actually the ending of actually what if Issei had got key. I know this ending was actually short, not really special, but at the same time, what's someone with God Key gonna do? I mean, yeah, Issei could actually start up his own dragon actually faction, but at the same time, does it really bother him? He's a dragon. He's looking for entertainment. He wants to actually have a challenge, of course. I mean, there's no one there besides for actually Scarlet, Orpheus, and Verlaine, and surprisingly, actually, Tiamat, who actually have a little bit of God Key in them, would be actually close to Issei's level. Now, yeah, you guys want to actually have more excitement. You guys want to actually see actually where this actually really went to. Of course, you want more action, but at the same time, guys, this is actually Issei with God Key. What is he going to do? He's not going to form a big harem. He's not like that. He was raised. Well, truth be told, he was actually surrounded by Orpheus and Red, of course, who didn't care about the world. So Issei wouldn't really care about the world, but he doesn't want it to be destroyed. But then again, this is actually the end of What If Issei Had God Key. If you guys really did enjoy the series, of course, guys, then you guys should actually leave a like and your comment. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.